Starting the very first video. Gonna start my timer. Let's make it 30 minutes. And here we go. The first problem, which I think I solved in class, but it's been a while and I don't quite remember. So let me take a look. To sum, given an array of integers, nums, and an integer target, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to target. You may assume that each input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. You can return the answer in any order. Example 1, input is 2, 7, 11, 15, and the target is 9. So then they would output the first and or zeros and the first index. Explanation, okay, 3, 2, 4, it would be 1 and 2, 3, 3, 0, 1. So we have the toSum function here with parameters that are integer array called numbers, nums, and integer target. So we have to we have to iterate through this numbers array somehow, and then when you add two of them, they have to equal target. So I know it is probably inefficient, but I believe a nested for loop can work here. So for int, wow, not having the IntelliSense here is kind of scary. Inside that, um, so so let's say here, if we have 2, 7, 11, 15, each number is going to loop through kind of the permutation, I think is what it's called, with each other until we hit the target is kind of the idea. So let's start by testing what these I and J's actually print. I just want to run it. Let's run it. Okay, well, we didn't even put a semicolon. So much for a very first run of our test case. Okay, array size cannot be specified. What's it saying? In a variable declaration. How much time do we have? 21 minutes. The fact that this is something that I've done before is the sad part. Okay, so I'm basically stuck. I have to find where this number j gets invoked, declared, and then somehow loop it inside. Fudge. I don't get it. How do I print this? How do I return the I and j? Or can I just do this? Console.writeLine I j. Can I do this to be able to test it? Console.writeLine. What? Console? Am I tripping? Isn't it console.writeLine? What do you mean right? Is there a typo? Oh, I'm like trying to rush it because I'm seeing the time right now. Okay. Okay, so we are reviewing. Uh, I just asked Claude, being honest, that I timed myself for 30 minutes, couldn't get a working result. I spent a lot of time trying to make things run on LeetCode website just to print the test statements. And then I gave them my working, or not working code, but my final verdict, like what I got to, and then I asked for the evaluation. So the evaluation, 34 out of 100. What would a working code look like for this brute force approach? Okay, alright. So going over the solution for brute force, one thing that I've noticed was in the J and how we work with the variable J. I knew that I needed to do something differently. Another learning point for me was just simply learning how to return the integer array num. Anyways, this is how we return it, and now we're gonna test this brute force method to see if we even got to this point. How good is it even, right? Okay. Beats 22%. So honestly, pretty pathetic, but it works. Okay. And now we're gonna look at the fastest performing approach. Is the optimal solution O of n time complexity versus the brute force, which is O of n squared. The idea is simple. Instead of checking every pair, you ask, have I already seen the number I need as you walk through the array once? So the faster way that Claude is recommending is using dictionary called seen. The way that I was comparing every possible pair was a little bit slow. So instead, this approach is asking, as I walk through the array, I ask, have I already seen this number? So then I create the dictionary called seen and think of it like a cheat sheet. And as I visit each number, I write down what it was and where I found it in the dictionary. So for each number, I calculate the complement. And that's just target minus the current number. Basically, what's the missing piece to reach my goal? And then I check my cheat sheet. Did I already see this missing piece? If yes, then I'm done. I return where I saw it and where I am right now. Where I saw it, where I am right now. If not, I just add my current number to the cheat sheet and keep going. That's it. One pass through the array. No comparing every value or pair. So using this cheat sheet, we are reducing the time complexity from O of n squared to O of n. So reflecting on this very first day of LeetCode challenge, some of the learning points were how difficult it was trying to code without the IntelliSense on Visual Studio. And so like trying to get to this, how to return even the integer array was difficult. And editing this took quite a while, honestly. And feeling the pressure of like trying to complete this in time was definitely felt, even though it's like supposed to be a very straightforward challenge. And I think another one was how I feel that my understanding of nested loop is still very shaky. I think, in particular, the logic of like what am I iterating through, I think is still unclear. And I just went through the what do you call it? The solution, the more efficient version right here. Um, which kind of makes sense, but this is not native to me. So it's gonna need a bunch of repetition for me to really get used to this and use this as my part of the solution. But I'm glad that I finally got to, test myself and see how far I have to go in this journey. Um, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two.